Bom, a ideia é passar, como eu falei, né, da reinvenção dos X-Men, a versão mais humana do Super-Homem e a contribuição do Frank para o Homem-Morcego. Bom, a gente vai começar com um parceiro do Frank que vocês devem conhecer, que basicamente transpassou boa parte da carreira dele. Frank, Grant Morrison, por que tu considera que vocês funcionam tão bem juntos? Né? Porque vocês fizeram muitos quadrinhos, né? O Tree, Grandes Atos Superman, os novos X-Men. Por que vocês funcionam tão bem?
I don't know why it is that Grant and I work so well together, but when we work with each other, we both feel there is something extra happening, something special.
Nice.
We come from Glasgow and we met 30 years ago and we have been friends ever since.
Bom, a gente vai começar com o teu primeiro trabalho, né, o Flex Mental, na Vertigo. Primeiro, como surgiu essa oportunidade? Que eu acho que foi o teu primeiro grande trabalho nos quadrinhos. Como surgiu esse convite?
Grant knew my work when I was in underground, self-published comics, independent comics, and he had kept an eye on me. He had kept watching my work until he felt I was good enough, and then he invited me to work with him.
É um cara que basicamente...
Well, it was I just followed the script. It was a crazy script, and it asked for a lot of unusual things, and I found it very exciting. And the first time I worked with Grant, I knew I wanted to work with him again. Yes. When Alan Grant had a great idea for a Batman story, but there was no Bat costume and there was no bad guy, and DC made him rewrite it 5 or 6 times until he didn't like it. He didn't like the story. But he didn't tell me that. He just gave me the script. And I did my best, the best work I could do. And I showed it to my mum, and she read it. And I said, "What did you think?" And she said, "Your drawings were very good, but the script was rubbish."
E assim, naquele momento da tua carreira, tu estava assim começando. Trabalhar com Batman deu um resultado a ponto de impulsionar a tua carreira?
Oh yes, I had been working in comics for a few years, and but always on titles or characters no one had heard of. So it was exciting for me to do Batman for the first time, and but it also, because it was my first work in the mainstream, it also got me noticed by other writers and other editors as well. So it was a good help in my career. I don't think this photograph is real, but it's kind of what I wanted to draw back when I was young.
E foi uma grande realização para ti?
Yes, it was very exciting for me to draw Batman.
O que o teu Batman tem que a gente pode dizer que só o Batman do Frank Whiteley tem, os outros não teriam essa característica?
I don't know. No, it's always easy for me to work from one of Grant's scripts because his scripts are very good. Sometimes he is challenging, but I have never had a problem working with him.
Tu não consegue lembrar de algo que foi muito complexo? Alguma situação assim de algum quadrinho? Talvez o Tree, não sei.
Yes, in We 3 there were some action sequences, like the cat, moving through the panels and killing the soldiers. This took us maybe more than a week, maybe more than 1 week, just to find a way of making it look different from other comics.
Bom, vamos voltar para a nossa cronologia.
I had drawn Batman, the Scottish connection, but I had never drawn Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. And it was a very satisfying story. It was a very simple mirror universe story. And also it was the first time that the colouring had been done by Laura Martin, Laura Dupuy as she was then. And I remember when DC sent a FedEx parcel to my house and I saw the colouring for the first time. I was really excited. I loved the colouring. The opportunity to do both. And I got that opportunity.
História um pouquinho mais ali pro lado. Quando tu tocou nas páginas, sentiu que aquilo ali podia ser um clássico? Veio na tua cabeça, nossa, isso aqui é maravilhoso. Não, tu não teve essa sensação.
No, I got the first script, the script for issue 1, and I read it, and I thought this is fantastic, and it would be fantastic no matter what artist got to draw it, and I feel very privileged that I got to draw it, but I knew that the first issue was very, very special, and I was finished drawing the first issue before I got the second script, and the second script was just as good, and it went on like that, and I kept expecting one of the 12 stories to be not as good, and every one was spectacular. So I felt very lucky that I was the artist that got to draw those stories. Yeah, very easy. When I spoke to DC about the fact that I couldn't do a monthly book, a book takes me at least 2 months, sometimes 3 months, and they said, don't worry, we will wait until you are on issue 6 before we start publishing, or before they announced that the book was coming out, and I was just past halfway through the first script when they announced that it was coming soon. So when the first comic came out, I was only on the second or third issue, and I think they just hoped that I would speed up, but it was too late. I knew it was going to run late after that.
O teu processo, ele é eu acho que ele é um pouco diferente do usual, assim, eu pelo menos te vejo muito como um artista, né? Um cara que para, analisa a página, pensa muito bem no que vai fazer, como tu disse, tu levou uma semana para fazer uma página e leva 3 meses às vezes para fazer uma única edição. Pode nos contar um pouquinho do teu processo, como tu recebe o roteiro, o que se desenvolve a partir daí?
Always the same. I read the script until I really understand it and I can really see it in my mind. And I draw little thumbnail drawings on the script for each panel, and then I put the thumbnail drawings together to make the whole page, and then I change the thumbnail drawings to make the story flow more smoothly. And I spend more time planning the pages than I do with the actual drawing of the finished artwork.
Quanto tempo leva fazendo os thumbnails para começar a desenhar realmente?
Sometimes I can organise a page in a few hours. Sometimes it takes a few days, and very occasionally it takes a week or longer.
Frank, agora vamos para momento.
There were all the fans who had been buying X-Men for years. Nearly all of them hated the new X-Men. The only people that liked new X-Men were the people who had not bought an X-Men comic for years but were only buying it because Grant was writing it. But slowly, the X-Men fans who didn't like it, slowly they started to start appreciating what we were trying to do, and eventually it became popular. But at first, it was mostly unpopular.
Agora ainda nessa...
I just stayed in the house and cried. No, it's I don't mind if I had done the pages too quickly and I was not happy with the way they looked. If I felt I had not done my job properly and people were criticising, I would feel I had let the fans down. But I did the very best work that I could do at that time, at that stage in my career. So I was proud of the work that I was doing, and I just accepted the fact that a lot of people who had been reading the X-Men before, they had different personal tastes, they had different expectations for what the X-Men should be, and I understood why they didn't like it. But because I felt I was trying my best, I was okay with the fact that they didn't like it, and I hoped that they would slowly come to like it, which they mostly did.
Menos esse é o básico.
I would agree Robin is sometimes boring or sometimes unnecessary, and I often prefer Batman on his own. But when Grant explained to me that Bruce Wayne was out of the picture, he was kind of dead, and Dick Grayson would be wearing the Batsuit, and Dick Grayson is optimistic and full of fun, and this Robin, who is Damian Wayne, he's violent and mean-spirited, so it was a swapping of the roles. Usually Batman is grim and serious and Robin is the comedy relief, and now it was the opposite way around. And also Dick Grayson was actually trying to be a good influence on Damian, and he was not being successful with that. So it was actually a nice change of pace to the normal Batman and Robin dynamic, and it was an interesting story, so I was happy to be involved.
Cuidado, eles são agressivos.
I think Dick Grayson was the perfect Batman for this story arc, but I prefer Bruce Wayne as Batman.
Okay, bom.
I wasn't involved in the production, but I was invited to the set, and myself and my wife and my 3 children all went to Toronto, and we went and saw the set, and while I was there I had discussions with the visual effects team, the art direction team, the costume designer, and we got a tour of different sets that they had built, so it was really exciting.
Justamente para os trabalhos dele virarem adaptações. Tu aceitou esse trabalho justamente por essa possibilidade? Tu já tinha em mente que isso poderia ser adaptado?
Mark said when we started this that he was hoping that it would become a movie. Because this was before his relationship with Netflix. He had Wanted and Kick-Ass and Kingsman. So he was hoping, initially he was hoping this would become a movie. But when we were working on it, he started talking to the guys at Netflix, and then he started saying it was going to become a TV show. But of course, I have known Mark nearly as long as I have known Grant Morrison, and Mark is always exaggerating. So I didn't trust him. Yes, when I saw the costume designs and when I saw the sets, I felt that they had made very good creative choices.
Eu digo, financeiramente, tu acha que é justo o que é acertado para uma adaptação? Tu acha que vale a pena realmente trabalhar para ter o seu próprio trabalho e ele se adaptar? É um bom negócio? Gastos?
I think it's different for everyone, and I don't know how much money other people have received for different adaptations, so I find it difficult to make a comparison. It certainly helped me, but I don't know how to compare it with other people who have had their comics translated into film or TV. Sure, I'll do a cameo. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll be the baker waving.
Ele não entendeu essa piada.
Ok, vamos lá. Mark Miller ou Grant Morrison?
It depends what kind of night you want to have. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'll say Miller and Morrison are both very, very good company, but the kind of fun that you have with each of them is sort of different.
É muito difícil arrancar uma resposta definitiva. Parabéns, você consegue fugir de todas as linhas.
I'm trying to be diplomatic. I think Mark is very good at giving people what they want, and Grant is very good at giving people what he wants.
Gente, eu tô um pouco preocupado aqui porque a gente tá quase no final do painel e as perguntas estão quase acabando.
Better at what? Better at what? Better for a night out?
Writing comics.
Writing comics. They have both written lots and lots of very, very good comics. Between the two of them, they have written many of the best comics. But I'm going to say I have a slight preference for Grant.
Os trabalhos do Alan Moore, por exemplo, ou tu é um cara mais foca só nos trabalhos que tu tá desenhando?
Recently I have been focusing in my own work, but over the years I have read most of what Alan Moore has written, most of what Gareth Ennis has written, most of what Pete Milligan has written. You know, I mean, I sometimes buy comics because of the writer, and I sometimes buy comics because of the artist. I don't, because I like to wait and read things as collections. I do not keep up to date with with monthly comics, but I still buy comics and I still enjoy comics and I still get enthusiastic about comics.
Pode nos recomendar alguma coisa, por favor? Uma coisa recente?
Well, because I don't read new monthly comics, I can't recommend anything new, but recently I read Garth Ennis and Goran Parlov's Punisher and Fury, and I really enjoyed them.
Por favor, pode escrever, tem ótimo gosto.
It was an exercise for me in creating new styles of storytelling.
O Organizar Superman? All-Star Superman.
It was a very special story, and every time I come to a convention, people tell me how much it meant to them. So it's very close to my heart.
Tu tentou fazer um Superman o mais gentil possível, né? A gente pode ver na aparência do personagem. Tu acredita que essa seria uma solução para os problemas da humanidade? A gentileza?
I think kindness is one of the best qualities that humans have. So it's certainly part of a solution. Yeah.
E, bom, continuando com o nosso pequeno jogo, o Authority. Eu amo Authority. Obrigado por ter feito ele em primeiro lugar. Por favor, pode definir o que ele representa para ti?
Authority was very exciting because we were making superheroes abuse their power, and to do a bad version of Superman and a bad version of Batman was very exciting, and it felt quite fresh and different from many of the comics that were being published at the time, and it was one of the most enjoyable projects that I've worked on.
Não, então é sente culpado, não é algo assim, tipo, no sentido de fazer algo, entre aspas, uma história com uma temática ruim?
No, I don't feel guilty at all.
Este homem gosta de ver o circo pegando fogo. Forte. Tu realmente sentia que estava fazendo algo de diferente? Porque foi um quadrinho que dá para dizer que definiu o que ia ser o quadrinho de super-heróis a partir dos anos 2000. Né? Toda a questão da globalização do super-herói, o abuso do poder, eles interferindo em nações estrangeiras para resolver os problemas. Vocês conseguiam sentir que era algo de diferente ali?
Yes, but I did feel there was something different there, but I felt that difference had started with The Authority when Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch were doing The Authority, and even then there were hints or seeds of that same feeling in some of the works that Alan Moore and Grant Morrison and Mark Waid had written. So, but Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch, when they started The Authority, there was a freshness there. It felt like something new. And when Mark Miller and I started talking to DC or Wildstorm about doing the next 12 issues, we knew that maybe like with New X-Men, we knew that the people who had been buying it for Warren and Brian might not like what Mark and I brought to it, because even to me, it was my favourite book at the time when Warren and Brian were doing it, so even for me, I felt The Authority was their book, not mine. So,
Mas o legal é que tu, no Authority, eu devia, na verdade, fazer a pergunta, porque tu teve que substituir um cara como o Brian Hitch, que tem um estilo de desenho completamente diferente do teu, se a gente for ver. Tu procurou emular alguma coisa, ou tu foi simplesmente livre para fazer aquilo que tu achava que seria o Frank, né, que é a cara do Frank?
No, I tried to do my own thing. I loved what Brian did, and you're right, his style is different from mine. I loved what he did in The Authority, but there was no point in me trying to do that, trying to be like Brian Hitch. I had to just try and do it my own way.
Bom,
David Mazzucchelli, Frank Miller, Neil Adams.
os dois estão aqui, olha só.
I don't know, there's been a lot of very good Batman artists over the years. Maybe I'll just leave it at 3.
Frank, deixa eu te ajudar.
Mike Mignola did a really good, he's done some really good Batman stuff. Yeah.
Eu posso te ajudar? Frank Whiteley também, tá no 5.
Oh, thank you.
Olha o espelho, ó, uma lenda ali, no espelho.
It doesn't feel like that. No, if you spend some time with my family, you'll realise that I'm made fun of all the time. I'm just one of the family. We're just like a regular family. The fact that I draw comic books doesn't really make any difference.
É só um trabalho. É como se fosse um trabalho, outro trabalho comum. E isso não, como se não fosse, né? Claro que é, né? Mas enfim, para nós não é, né, gente? A gente adora isso, mas enfim. Tu deve ter dado um sketch, um desenho muito legal, né? Eles devem, os familiares devem ter sketches teus. Eu invejo eles, só pra constar.
No. No.